Hello there, welcome to Wednesday's Knots Today with me, Mark Dennison. Thank you for joining us. Hope you've had a good day so far. Here's what's happening on today's show. Firstly, there's potential industrial action at one of Nottingham's most popular music venues. Staff at Rock City have sought support from the Unite Union amid ongoing concerns, shall I say, about working conditions and potential bullying. We'll hear more about that in just a few moments' time. Plus, we'll be talking over a council strategy addressing why women in Notts have generally worse health outcomes than the county's men. The meeting today looked over how Nottinghamshire's women spend an average of 21 years in poor health compared with 15 years for men. We'll discuss more about what's being done to address this shortly. Plus, later on, we'll be spending a day in the life of the city's neighbourhood policing team, aiming to make Nottingham feel safer.
My team cover the Arboretum area of Bradford. Our job can vary, but for me, I'll come on, we'll do a briefing, I'll go through all the incidents that have happened in the last 24 hours, and then we'll have a plan of what we need to do for the day, depending on what's happened.
Later in the show, we'll also be hearing about a new rave-inspired fitness revolution, which launches in Nottingham next month. Birchella is a new Rave Fit project with a live DJ-led dance fitness classes. It starts in Nottingham a week on Saturday before also heading to London in September as well. We'll hear all about that later in the show. In sport, we'll be hearing why new Mansfield Town goalkeeper Liam Roberts is making Field Mill his home.
I need to be the best I can be in daily, coming into the games and showing what I'm about. You know, it's not just that I rest on my laurels, you know. There's a weight that comes with that shirt and you have to wear it with pride and you have to give it 110% every day.
All of that and plenty more coming up for you, but firstly we're going to talk all things health and well-being, but more specifically about how new Nottinghamshire County Council figures show women in the county are spending more years in poor health than men. The data says women in Notts also have worse health outcomes than the national average, spending about 21 years on average in poor health compared with 16 years for men. But why is that? Our local democracy reporter Latifa Yedrouj was at a council meeting today where plans to address this were discussed, and she joins us now to tell us more about it. Good to see you. Why is there this difference then between men and women with health?
Right, so today's council meeting talked a lot about healthy life expectancy. So healthy life expectancy is the number of years you are in good health. So women fare far worse than men in this area. So women are spending more years in poor health than men in Nottinghamshire. But this is increasing as the years go by. So women are spending on average 21 years in poor health. So they're facing conditions that are affecting their health compared to 16 years for men facing poor health conditions. So women fare worse than the national average as well. So women spend they reach about the age of 59.7 years before they start facing health conditions, whereas men in Nottinghamshire spend up to about 60 years. So they're about 60 years old when they start facing poor health conditions. So you can see that women tend to have poorer health outcomes than men. Even though the numbers are close to the national average, this is still getting significantly worse. So this was addressed in today's council meeting to just find out the reason why this is happening and what the council can do to combat this issue.
Tell us more about the health issues then that women in particular are facing. So
this varies for different age groups. So women from the age of 16 to about 29, and have this written down here, they bring up such issues like anxiety, depression and autism to their GPs. Whereas women who are 30 to about 49 years old also bring up anxiety and depression as main concerns, but perimenopause is also on the list for those who are a little bit more older because they're reaching the 50s. That's when menopause starts to usually take place with women. And then those aged 50 to 64 bring up issues such as menopause, which hits women around that age, anxiety and arthritis. And then 64 years old and above face issues such as, again, arthritis, high blood pressure and chronic pain.
You mentioned the council meeting then. What was discussed there and what did councillors say?
So councillors did bring up a few issues about women's health and why women are facing worse health outcomes and spending more years in poor health. So Councillor John Wilmot from the Ashfield Independents talked about the importance of early intervention. He also talked about non-English speaking residents and how they can also access information on healthcare services. He talked about residents, like elderly residents who don't have access to the internet or Facebook, and how the council needs to step up and create more leaflets and perhaps physical paperwork so that these residents are also informed of health services available in their area. So Councillor Tideswell from the Broxtowe Alliance also talked about financial struggles that some women face and single mom households. In his borough, he talked about how a lot of mums don't have access to leisure facilities because they don't have the finances for transport links or don't have a car, because they talk about how going to the gym and going to leisure centres can improve your health and well-being. So transport links, access to leisure centres was also discussed in the meeting.
So what about next steps then? What's the council going to do to try and improve particularly women's health?
Right, so the council put forward 10 recommendations to make several improvements for women's health services across Nottinghamshire. So this included increased access to contraception, better awareness for mental health services, and they also talked about continuing dialogue with women to understand their needs and what issues they are currently facing, as well as initiatives to reduce smoking in pregnancy, which is quite prevalent as discussed in the meeting. So through more dialogue, more conversations that the council will be having with several groups, they will create a framework and identify areas for improvement, and once all this is identified, an action plan will be made to tackle these issues.
Comprehensive update, Latifa. Thank you very much indeed for now. Thank you. We're going to move on now, and a number of workers at Nottingham's iconic Rock City are calling for better working conditions from the venue's owner, DHP family. The campaigning staff have started a petition calling for union recognition over working conditions and potential complaint policies. However, the venue's management has denied that concerns have been ignored. Lucy Marshall has more.
924 signatures and counting on this petition from a number of Rock City workers. Some of the staff from the iconic venue have voiced concerns over working conditions, which campaigners say have so far been overlooked. The group of petitioners are also asking for union recognition. They say that DHP, the company in charge of Rock City and several other Nottingham venues, is so far refusing to meaningfully engage with the union Unite. Unite hospitality organiser Kevin Reynolds explained that staff members had initially contacted the union over disciplinaries and firings that were allegedly being conducted without due process. Following this, the union was made aware of a number of different claims, including health and safety, a lack of proactive sexual harassment monitoring policy, and bullying. Rock City is a world-famous venue. The people working there deserve better. We are hopeful that Rock City will do the right thing. They should engage with us and not bury their heads in the sand. Mr Reynolds also shared that a number of Rock City employees had submitted a collective grievance. That's a shared set of concerns, problems or complaints raised by employees, but had been told several weeks later to submit individual grievances. DHP says it's aware of the small group of staff seeking union representation and says it's fully committed to listening and improving. It says, "We have clear policies in place for our staff to raise any grievances across all of our venues, regular training for our teams and established processes for staff to raise concerns, either formally through our grievance policy or informally through management teams or our HR department. We take any allegations seriously and investigate appropriately." The events company also said it reached out to all staff members who raised concerns and invited them to speak with senior management. And it said it's been in active conversation with Unite about the ongoing unionisation. "We want to be absolutely clear, we are not ignoring or dismissing anyone," they said. Lucy Marshall for Notts TV.
On to other Notts news now, and a man who strangled his ex-partner and threw a TV at her has been jailed. 30-year-old Dean Kirby threatened to kill his former partner during a violent outburst at her home last year, as well as throwing a TV set at her and threatening to cut off her fingers with bolt cutters. Kirby of Walmer Road in Nottingham admitted to multiple offences including intentional strangulation, actual bodily harm and common assault. He was jailed for 3 years and 7 months in Nottingham Crown Court on Monday. Police are asking for help after a teenage girl was assaulted near a Nottingham park. The 14-year-old victim needed hospital treatment after being kicked multiple times and dragged across the floor by a group of other girls. She travelled to St Anne's Park to meet a friend when the attack took place in Abbotsford Drive at around 9 p.m. last Thursday, June the 19th. Nottinghamshire Police says she suffered bruising and scratches and asked anyone with information about the incident to get in touch with them on 101. And the Deputy Leader of Ashfield District Council has been fined for having out-of-control dogs. Councillor Tom Hollis, who represents the Ashfield Independents, admitted 3 counts of the charge relating to 2 Rottweilers, a Spaniel cross and an unknown breed around addresses in Huthwaite last December. The 32-year-old of Yew Tree Drive, who recently lost his Sutton County Council seat to Reform in May's local election, appeared in Nottingham Magistrates Court on Wednesday and was told to pay fines and costs totalling more than £1,800. Time for a short break now, but when we come back to the side of the break, we'll be hearing all about a new rave-inspired fitness craze coming to Nottingham. This is a bit of me, to be honest with you. Plus, we've got all of your sport as well, including meeting a new goalie at Mansfield Town, and we'll be spending a day in the life of the city neighbourhood police officers. So all of that and more when we come back. Welcome back to Wednesday's show with me, Mark Dennison. Thank you for joining us. Here's what's happening in Notts today. Firstly, there'll be a reduced timetable on Nottingham's tram network while several vehicles undergo repairs. Nottingham Express Transit says trams will run every 15 minutes between 6 and 7 in the morning, every 10 minutes between 7 in the morning and 9 p.m. and every 15 minutes till the end of the day. I hope you've written that down. The changes come into effect today. They could last for 4 weeks. And it comes while out-of-service vehicles are repaired. Net says these repairs will provide a more robust and reliable service. Next, a group of Reform councillors says all Notts taxis should have CCTV fitted as standard to improve passenger safety. The newly elected county councillors want district and borough authorities to promote the rule in their areas, with a letter sent to all 7 lower tier chief executives calling for the measure. Currently no local authority in the county requires mandatory CCTV in taxis. It's also not an official requirement in Nottingham City, but some district councils say implementing the measure could be challenging with robust checks already in place. Moving on now, and Nottinghamshire Police has shared a new video exploring a day in the life of the City Central Neighbourhood Policing Team. This is the group of officers who made arrests for nearly 700 offences in 1 year and did 180 hours of extra patrols in a month to address safety concerns in Nottingham. The video has been shared as part of Neighbourhood Policing Week of Action, with the force highlighting some of the good work these officers do each day. Have a look.
I'm Sergeant Carl Brown. I'm a neighbourhood sergeant here at Radford Road Police Station. My team cover the Arboretum area of Radford. Our job can vary, but for me, I'll come on, we'll do a briefing, I'll go through all the incidents that have happened in the last 24 hours, and then we'll have a plan of what we need to do for the day, depending on what's happened in the hours before. I've currently got a team of 12, 8 police constables, and I've got 4 police community support officers. Our general day-to-day roles are covering the local area, covering antisocial behaviour. We target drug dealing, we target prolific offenders and those in our areas that are causing us harm. So today we're going to go out and about, we're going to knock on some doors and try and arrest some outstanding offenders. Also at Radford we've got Sergeant Mark Southgate, who covers the Berridge beat, and we've got Sergeant Matt Lees, who covers Canning Circus. Having a morning shift and an afternoon shift enables us to cover the area of Radford a bit more efficiently. We're going to patrol some of our hotspots. We're going to patrol Astor and Hyson Green, which is a problematic location for us at the moment. My favourite part of the job would just be getting out on patrol, going out and speaking to people, going out and patrolling our problem locations and trying to have an impact on them.
Okay, from policing to fitness now as we take our final chat of the show, and we're going to hear all about Burchella, which is a rave fit project with a live DJ using fitness and music to revolutionise the way people exercise and dance. It's an idea born from online lockdown dance classes, but it's evolving by taking that very concept and moving it into nightclub settings, helping to get people raving and moving without the late night. A launch event will take place in Nottingham next week, and co-founders Alison Whitlock and Ella Aziz join us now to tell us all about it. Thank you for coming on Notts TV. Alison, I'm going to start with you. I'm intrigued about the name, and I know this is a mashup of names, isn't it? Tell me more.
Yes, it is. We're a fan of a portmanteau. So Burchella is basically a mashup of my partner's surname, Ian Bircher, he's the DJ, and Ella, who is the instructor. And basically there's a really famous US dance festival called Coachella, and we thought, you know what, why don't we just mash up the two, and Burchella was born.
Which is a great idea, and I love the story. The only thing is, Alison, it doesn't incorporate your name. What are we going to do about that?
It's too complicated, Mark. It's just too complicated. We've tried, we've failed. So I'm very happy to just...
Burchella, Alison, Burchella, Ali, Burchella. Leave it with me. I'll have something by the end of the show.
Please,
Ella,
thank you.
What's the idea? I gave an outline there of how it works, but you're the expert. You're the instructor.
You gave a pretty good outline. It's a routine-based dance fitness class, the kind that you get in the gyms, but it's unique because the music is played and mixed live by Ian, our DJ, rather than pre-recorded music, which is what you get usually in a gym. And it's a real creative collaboration between the three of us, Alison, Ian, myself. And we all decide on the music. Ian mixes it, I do the choreography, and I teach it. And we test it firstly online, and then adapt, change, amend as suits. And then we then take it to a live audience. And what's exciting about it for me is because every time Ian mixes it, might be the same tracks, but it's slightly different each time. So the connection between me and Ian has to be absolutely on point, and we live dangerously, and things can just go wrong, but usually it goes ever so right. But for our participants, they see us collaborating, they get the feel of being in a nightclub setting, and the whole point about us ending up with a routine. I teach them a routine-based dance fitness class, and we build up the routine gradually, and it's really, really unique, and all of us are dancing the same routine by the end of it.
Brilliant.
And we haven't found this anywhere else.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm intrigued because the setting is going to be nightclubs, Alison. What on earth do you drink? Can't just drink water, you're in a nightclub.
Well, to be honest with you, no, of course, in a nightclub, you would drink alcohol, or some people would drink alcohol. We'd recommend not doing that in this because it's hot and sweaty, and by the end of it, and it's an hour and a half of dancing end to end. So it's 2 blocks of choreography. We mash them up together like Burchella, like the name itself, and we link both sets of choreography at the end. So by the end of it, you're going to want to drink a lot of water, and then maybe after you've cooled down, have a shower, then you can hit the drinks, but not before.
Yeah, not before, maybe later, and always read the label. That's what we should say on that. Where can people find out more? Because I mentioned you've got a taster happening on the 5th of July, haven't you, at MAD? And then the idea is, I know you're going off to London, Ella, so where can people find out more about this?
Well, we've got an Instagram account, which is fairly new. The handle is Burchella_RaveFit, or we've got a Facebook account. It's just Burchella RaveFit. We are planning to have a website and everything coming, and that's all in production at the moment. So we're pushing through with it. But Instagram and Facebook is where you will get the most information at the moment.
Okay, so log on there and make sure you keep across what's happening with Burchella. I'm intrigued to know, Alison, what Ella is like as an instructor. You know, don't you? Because she whipped you in, well, you know, she instructed you during lockdown, I think.
So, yeah. So the backstory to how we all ended up in this crazy situation. I used to do dance classes at my local gym, Virgin Active in Nottingham, and the instructor there hooked me into to this like Ella's online Facebook group at the point of lockdown, and Ella put together this amazing team of instructors led by Ella, and we all started dancing in our kitchen. So that's back in 2020, and then about 2 years later, Ella started to develop her own online dance classes and mix her own music. And about 2 years later, my other half got into DJing. And then just last summer, as a result of him DJing in Nottingham, he's got his own night called Infinite Beats. We all started just talking, going, why don't we do this? Why don't we do a collaboration and try and get this idea together? So all the way through this, Ella's been the most fantastic instructor. I'm not just saying that because she's here. She's brilliant. She's very collaborative and inclusive.
And not scary either, we should say. Not at all scary. No. Listen, it's been a pleasure, but we are out of time. Alison and Ella, hope it goes really well. Thank you. Taster event on the 5th of July. Time for your sport now, and we'll start with Mansfield Town after the club released new video with goalkeeper Liam Roberts, who recently joined Phil Mill from Championship side Millwall. He replaces the outgoing starter, Christy Pym, who left at the end of his contract, and he's made hundreds of career appearances, including at the Den alongside childhood side Walsall, Northampton Town, Middlesbrough and Burnley. Speaking to iFollow Stags, he explained what it means to be likely getting the #1 spot.
That's incredible, you know, to be given that. It's not a privilege. I still have a point to prove, especially here. You know, I'm coming in new. I need to be the best I can be in daily, coming into the games and showing what I'm about. You know, it's not just that I rest on my laurels. You know, there's a weight that comes with that shirt, and you have to wear it with pride, and you have to give it 110% every day. Been around the Championship, you know, I've played a few games, and you know, I can bring that experience. You know, I've been in the game quite a long time now, with things happening off the field, things happening on the field. They're going really well, they're not going great. So, you know, I can bring that kind of experience to the young lads, you know, to help them out. And
on to League Two, Notts County owner Chris Reed says there's a lot to be excited about at Meadow Lane after Martin Patterson was announced as the club's new head coach. Patterson, who most recently was in charge at Burton, joins the Pies ahead of a new season and replaces Stuart Maynard. In a new interview, the owner said Patterson was a great fit for the setup at Meadow Lane.
Having done various interviews with Martin, I think all of us really got a good impression of him as he's competent football-wise, but also as his personality. We really liked him, and we think we can work well with him. And he came across as someone who is very ambitious and want to win and progress. So overall, we feel really happy about this appointment.
Time for a look at your picture of the day now. Thanks to Lawn Master Knots for this great headshot of a beetle. As he says on Instagram, is it John, Paul, Ringo or George? None of those, it's Brian. Don't forget to tag us at Knots_TV to get your picture on the telly. As for the weather, it's been another warm one today with sunny spells. Lows of 17 degrees overnight. Tomorrow, touch warmer, more sunshine in between the cloud, highs of 24 Celsius. Lows of 14 tomorrow night. Then on to Friday, even warmer, highs of 26 degrees and lows of 18. The pollen count stays quite high. That's pretty much the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Thanks to all of our brilliant guests. Emma's here tomorrow from 5:30 with all the latest. In the meantime, bye-bye.